I'm going to review this Mustool MT11 Multimeter. This is sent to me for free by Banggood, so thank you much Banggood for supplying this to me at no cost. Make sure you go and check the links out down below if you're interested in taking a look at this or perhaps purchasing one. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if it's your first time here. For like product reviews or repairs and stuff like that. So I've got this hard case which is quite nice. Right, what do we get? Let's look at the leads first. Got some leads. These are PVC leads. Oh, that's interesting. These are not 4mm banana plugs. These are look like 2mm banana plugs. Curious. We have a USB-C charging cable. Okay. That's actually pretty light. Oh look, there we go. It's got a charging port on the bottom. No battery holders or anything obvious there. How do you get to the fuses to replace fuses? Are they fuses? Let's look at the manual. You can read that, can't you? The I'll just whiz across and you can try and read it yourself in your own time. It mentions batteries over here. Place for 2 AAA 1.5 volt alkalines. Lithium-ion battery version, here we go. There's 2 versions of it. Oh, okay, so it must be 2 versions. One's alkaline battery, one's USB-C. So what I'm going to do in this review is, so like I've done with all the other budget multimeters, I'm going to go through, test its features, test its accuracy. So I've got things like standard capacitors here and things like that. We'll check it with those. And I'll put on my Calibrator as well, my Defpom Calibrator. We'll run it through on there and see how accurate it is on all the voltage ranges and resistances and stuff like that. We can do all that stuff. So we can actually check to see how good this thing actually is. What I've been finding so far, a lot of these budget multimeters, they've actually been doing pretty well. I mean, for what you get for the money, accuracy is good enough generally. Right, for hobbyist use, not a problem. If you're doing more professional stuff, then you need better. You know, you need more digits generally. But for these things, they've been adequate. I've been quite surprised. So anyway, we'll see how this one goes as well. So let's turn it on. And it looks like it's got a optimized angle. See that? So it's optimized for laying down the desk. See, it starts to fade out there. So it's actually optimized for being below the screen. Does it got a power saving thing, does it? It does. So the screen dims down. So I've got AC volts, DC volts, diode test, non-contact voltage. Yep, that works. Live. I think that's if you've got a probe plugged in. I did read something about that. So if you've got one of those probes plugged in, you can actually use that probe to act as the non-contact voltage, just sensing with one lead. Let's try that. Okay, so I have to use the leads because these are not standard size plugs. These are 2mm, by looks of it. So I've got some 2mm leads, let's check. So yeah, it's a 2mm lead here. It's actually loose. That's not grabbing, so it's not 2mm. Wonder what size that is then. Alright, so I've got the black lead sitting there, I've got the red lead in my hand. Let's touch it onto a live terminal. That works. Okay, one-handed testing, could be good for that I suppose. Oh, it's sensitive actually is. Let's put it on neutral. Neutral, no. Earth, no. Let's wind the voltage down. Of course, I've got this on my Variac. So about 50 volts is where it starts kicking in. And we've also got Duty Cycle with Hertz as well. That's auto mode. So we've also got capacitance mode manually here and resistance. So that says, well, that says capacitance. It actually goes through the individual modes, which is quite interesting. So on DC and AC it does nothing. Diode test, it does nothing. Non-contact, it does nothing. Live, it does nothing. Duty Cycle does nothing. So in auto mode, then you can do this and that changes the modes in the secondary modes I suppose. So you got resistance, continuity and capacitance. So the symbol's not quite accurate really. Then we've got torch. It's got hold function as well. So you push that, it's actually hold. And if I do hold it, then the light comes on the back, which is mediocre. Let's check some capacitors. In fact, before I do that, let's do continuity testing. Let's get out of the way first. Let's pull these off. Well, that's actually pretty good. It's a bit disconcerting having the red and black and then the black and red. Why have I done that? Wouldn't you find that a bit potentially confusing? Shouldn't the red probe just be completely red and the black probe completely black? That may confuse you at some point. I don't like that. Anyway, continuously. It's okay. I think it needs to give a clean. I think we want to clean this bit of residue on there, I think. I just gave it a bit of a wipe down with a bit of paper towel just to remove any oxidation residue or oil films and stuff like that. That's much better. So the beeper's really quick, but obviously the display update's a bit slower. So about a quarter of a second. It's not that bad. But that's really quick. That's almost instant. That's actually really good. I think that might be one of the best ones yet. Yeah. And if you had some decent probes on here, if you get the right connectors at least, you had some high quality like gold plated ones, it'd probably be even better. Because these are just nickeled. Yeah, okay. Let's check some caps. So this isn't quite as good because of the leads and the fact they're all tangled up and stuff, as you always do. So let's stick these in here. 190 picofarad, which isn't too far off. It's a 200 picofarad capacitor, so it's 10 picofarads out. Okay, let's try another one. A 1 nanofarad. 1.017. 17 out, that's not that bad. Okay, let's try 20 nanofarad. 20.09. I mean, it could be the leads as creating extra capacitance as well. I mean, negligible, but it will be. It's not too far out. It's pretty good. Let's see what the specs are actually. Let's see what the specs were like. This is a 1 microfarad. It says 977. That's very different. I know this one does actually read bang on my other meters, so that's a long way off that one. 23 counts. So if you're paying attention at the very beginning, the specs are for capacitance plus or minus 6% for less than 1 microfarad. Basically 1 microfarad above is 3%. So that's actually within spec. Whilst we're here, let's look at these. DC and AC voltage are within 0.5% plus or minus 3 counts, or plus 3 counts. Resistance is 2% or 1% depending on range. So above 1k it's 1%. Frequency is 1% plus 5 counts. Duty cycle is 3% as well. Apparently the dye test mode is below 3 volts, so less than 3 volt diodes you can test them. So now I need to go to my calibrator, get the sap all over there, which is going to be a bit trickier with the probes coming out the bottom of the meter, and the fact I can't use my standard leads, any of my standard leads, because these are weird sizes. So I'm going to have to somehow try and get these attached. That's going to be fun. Right, so here you got the calibrator. We're injecting 1 volt DC, you get 1.005, which is actually out by a little bit. That's only just in spec. Now when I first come over here, let's see, I just flipped up 6. Now this is 0.05% accuracy, plus some counts too, wasn't it? So actually maybe it's still just in spec. DC plus 3 counts as well, so yes, 0.5% plus 3 counts, so that is actually in spec, even though it's out by 5 counts. And this is an auto ranging. As you can see, I've got the probe shoved in the front of the calibrator. It's not exactly ideal, but the auto range, if I connect this up, just AC then DC, so it's a bit slow. So let's see if I can do this manually. DC volts manually. Is it any quicker? Yes. And strangely it's now reading bang on. Okay. That's weird. Auto mode. Wow, okay, that's strange. So, auto mode, it's 5 counts out. Manual mode, it's bang on. Eh? That's very weird. Right, let's go down. Let's do 100 millivolts. Yep, bang on. 10 millivolts, basically bang on. That's good. 1 millivolt doesn't show up. Yes, so if I do auto, it thinks it's ohms. No. Oh no, there we go. You've got 1 millivolt on there now. Yeah, it appears that if you're doing low resolution stuff, Resolution 1 millivolt at best. Maximum input voltage 620 volts DC and AC. 620 volts maximum, so must not go over that. Or unless I want to just blowing it up, of course. Let's do 10 volts. It's bang on. 100 volts. Bang on. So when I say manual range, it's spot on. This has to be a manual range. Let's do auto range. So an auto range, it's out by a few counts. That is weird. Back to manual range. Bang on. That's curious. So I've just gone to 500 volts on manual ranging. That's out by a few counts there. Looks like they haven't calibrated that high. So 600 volts. It's beeping when you get that high. Interesting. Personally, I think it'd be beeping after over 200 really, but anyway. So let's push it. 620 is the max. There we go, overload. Alright. Yeah, it's probably calibrated at 10 points, so it could be a 1 volt, 10 volts, or 100 volts and stuff like that. Possibly. I don't know, I'm just guessing here. So if I try doing a different range, I'll do say 50 volts. See, that's shifted out there. See that? Yeah, so my suspicion about calibration points might be correct. See, it's drifting out further and further until it gets to that next range, I reckon. So 99,005. There we go, when it rearranged, it was bang on. So yes, it looks like it's calibrated at the bottom of the ranges, and the upper end is not so accurate. So AC is what I'm on now. It's got some interesting specs here. It says frequency range 1 kHz below 10 volts, 6 kHz above 10 volts, which is interesting. Anyway, we're doing 1 millivolt right now and it's counted as 1 millivolt, so that's good. 10 millivolts, bang on. Again, this is all manually ranged, not auto ranged. So 100 millivolts is slightly off there, a couple of counts. 1 volt, a few counts out. Still within spec. 10 volts, a couple of counts out. It is measuring the frequency correctly as well. And 100 volts is also a few counts out there, but 4 counts out. But the frequency is accurate. So let's just try this thing with the frequencies and see what's going on here. Let's try 10 kHz. And it can't read it. 6 kHz, which is what it mentions. So 1.8 volts. The frequency is correct though. Yeah, this does not like high frequency at all. So 2 kHz is out by about 3 volts. So anything above 1 kHz looks like a no-go. Let's do 100 Hz. That looks fine. Okay, let's go down to 10 millivolts. Just check the other end of the scale. Yep, that's fine. Let's do a high voltage, say 500 again. So 500 volts AC at 100 Hz. It's reading 501. Go to 1 kHz, reading 501 as well. Then 2 kHz. Can't read it. Okay, so I did mention that frequency difference there, which is weird. I don't know why it says 6 kHz above 10 volts, because it's obviously not doing that. Basically 1 kHz is the maximum of this thing, really, I'd say. Don't go above 1 kHz on it. It can't read above that. So let's do duty cycle. So I've got it set at 1 volt AC still, 1 kHz, and you can't see it. Let's try 100 Hz. Still can't see it. Okay, let's go 10 volts. Okay, now I can see it. Duty cycle's looking pretty good though. 1 kHz, 0.1 counts out, and 50.2 on duty cycle instead. But like I said, that 1 kHz is like the limit of what this thing can do. So let's do resistance. I'm going to use this time. Previously I used my Fluke calibrator. The reason I'm going to use this one this time is because these probes are not making very good connections at all on the Fluke. They're just not suited to it. But on this one I can actually get them to connect, and I can kind of get them to work. If I just like press down a little bit, then they do a bit better. Right? So I can do that on here, and it'll give me a slightly better reading. Okay, I can kind of do it. So I'm going to have to hold it like this and then go through and tell you what the readings are. Well, you can see what the readings are. So 10 ohms, it's slightly off there, a few counts-ish. I mean, these connections aren't great. There we go, now it's bang on. Just not move. 100 ohms, it's not bad. Not, it's basically bang on. So 1K, it's bang on. Don't forget, it's also manual moded as well. So manual mode, so this is different to what the auto will be, I think. 10K is very slightly out there. 100K, 1 count out as well. So 1 meg, basically bang on, 1 count out. So 10 meg is 1 count out, and that one there won't read, I'm pretty sure. 100 meg. Oh no, it is doing it. Look, It is doing 100 meg. Just, then it goes overload. So 100 meg is the absolute max. So I think I just found another feature by accident just then as I was turning it off. Just turn it back on again. So you've got this clock symbol on the top here, right? I'll get the angle lower so you can see it a bit better. If I hold this button down, it turns that off. So that must mean that's the auto power off, which it then turns off as well. Let's see if the screen still dims down. It may or may not. Temperature's changing, interestingly. There you go, it still dims the screen. So that is only obviously the auto power off. The screen dimming still happens. I can understand why I've got the screen dimming, because you want to reduce your battery usage, but if you're trying to look at it at the time and it dims down, yeah, what's the key on that? It means you have to push a button. So I think we covered all the features in this. It doesn't do current with, oh, I should do a teardown if we can. Let's try and tear this apart. I'm hoping it just clips in. Okay, I'm getting a suspicion that there's something right here holding it in place. Is there a screw behind this label? I bet there is. Yeah, look what I found. 2 screws hidden behind this label. So it should be completely clipped together. Never mind. This will come out part a lot easier now. Oh, look at that. Well, good on them. The plastic's pretty strong. And that's what's inside it. So you got PTC over here, a MOLF resistor, little relay. You could actually hear that relay clicking before. Also, it's got a charging circuit on here for the USB-C. So it's built-in charging, BMS sort of thing. There's a little lithium cell there. What size is this? 700 milliamp hours. Not much to see there. I don't want to try and get the whole board out, I don't think. But protection circuitry, well, yeah, there's a PTC. Again, nothing, and no apparent fuses. I mean, you've got the PTC in there, which means you don't necessarily need a fuse. Can't see any markers on that PTC. So I guess that's being used instead of a fuse. You have to replace a fuse in it. Oh well. Okay, we'll put it back together. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you've not been here before. Now we should do the screen peel. Now I need to find some music for this. So I've got to try and find some decent music. I've been looking for ages. I don't know, hours even, trying to find some music I can use to do screen peel. Some kind of sexy, kind of jazzy saxophone music. That's what I had in mind. If you've got something which will work for doing a sexy screen peel, please let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, I have to compromise. Did you use the tweezers? I've definitely got to get music for this. We should do a summary of this thing. Overall opinion: very accurate in manual mode, not so accurate in auto mode. Continuity buzzer, very fast, very good. I do not like these weird probes. I mean, I think they're 2mm, but it's almost like a 2.1 or 2.2mm or something. I just don't like it. Why didn't they use 4mm? There's space to put 4mm in there. Why didn't they do it? That's a compromise I don't like. You're tied to using this set of probes, you can't replace them very easily unless you can find something which happens to fit these really nicely. Don't like that part. Screen, nice screen, good viewing angle. Don't like the dimming after such a short time. If it is after, say, a minute or so, I can understand it. But after about, what was it, 20 or 30 seconds, it dims down. I think that's too soon, because you're probably still looking at the screen at that point. If you charge with lithium ion cell, 700 milliamps, that should last a while. I don't know what the battery life is actually going to be on this thing. PTC instead of fuse, that's okay. There's no mobs in there, so protection wise, I wouldn't use this on anything more than 100 volts, in my opinion. You know, if there's no protection in the meter, I say don't go above 100 volts. Weird designators here. I mean, they don't actually do what these say. They kind of do what they say, but not exactly. They've got multiple functions which aren't listed on here. If you want a nice, cheap, accurate meter, which you're not too worried about doing high voltage with, but it's right. I mean, it's surprisingly accurate, and the continuity test is really good. That's a big plus for it. Run across something and it will tell you if something's wrong. Many meters are just too slow to do that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and watch out for my future videos where I've got some more to do. I've got to do this thing yet, and others when they come. So there's plenty more of these reviews. There's a playlist I've set up for these, putting all these multimeter reviews into. So you can actually look through the playlist, and don't forget to check out links down below to Banggood. Thank you again, Banggood, for sending this to me at no cost. Catch you later. Bye.